We're recording.
Susan, do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yes, you do.
Okay. I'm just going to start off with just quickly.
We need to have Jeff call the meeting to order
Yeah.
first.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, Sue. I would like to call the, thank you. The meeting of the Narragansett Regional District Regional Amendments Committee. It is now 5:17 on January 17th. So with that, actually with that, Mac, I will hand it right over to you. Why don't you kick it right off? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Okay, we're going to skip number 2, the approval of the minutes, and Susan's going to get that to us before the next meeting.
Thank you.
And you'll see in the agenda, I just want to review quickly what we have ahead of us. And then we'll see, I don't know if Tim and Carter, if you have some language that you want to present to us. As B, C, as looks like that Phillipston does not have any new language to present to us tonight. And then we're going to go back and look at the 3 sections that we have not, that you have not agreed on yet. So that's the plan. I'm going to stop sharing, and let's see.
Jeff's video is up. Maybe we should tell him that.
Yep, that's fine. I'm good. I can't see it. Oh yeah, there it is. Yep, I see it. Yep.
I didn't want anybody to think that we're watching you, without you knowing it.
I plugged in the camera. That's fine. It's got to go back. I'm good. Thank you.
Make the screen a little bigger. So I went through this last time. I won't go through all the things in the sections that we've approved. I've highlighted what we're going to need to tackle. Obviously, section 6 is just one section, I believe, section G, about the apportionment of capital and debt that we need to address. Section 10 about adding additional towns, and perhaps Templeton has something to share in that regard. And then section 11, which is withdrawing of member towns, which we've talked about and we probably will not be able to address tonight. And actually, Jay and I have one other section that we would like to address that we've gotten some feedback from DESE. And so we'd like to share something else with you that when it's time. So I am going to bring up what I find less confusing, and that is what I call a clean copy. And I've just highlighted, oh, actually, I'm sorry. The agenda says that the next thing we're going to do is look at the issues that Templeton might address. Are there things either Tim or Carter that you would like to present to the group?
Carter does have his hands up. So Carter, if you have something to say, why don't you jump right in?
Okay.
Just to let you know that we did have 2, possibly 3 amendments we were going to offer, but we were not able to get them developed in time, so we're going to have to hold on to them for now.
So, I mean, that's okay, but I don't know that we should be discussing these other issues that aren't resolved, because they all seem to involve those the things that you and Phillipston are going to raise. I'm going to share my screen again here. Make this bigger. All right, so I believe the only things that I have highlighted are what's left to resolve. The first is the apportionment of costs, and I assume that Carter and Tim, that is what you were going to address at some point. Is that a true statement?
It is one of the three issues that we have that remain, yes.
Okay, so probably is not worth spending time on that tonight. The second one is this is still the debt. It's the same issue. The admission of additional towns, and that is one of the three things you were going to address, Carter, right?
Correct.
So we no need of talking about that. And the other is the withdrawal of member towns, and that's what Phillipson was going to offer something about the pre-K to 6. So we're not prepared to do that. So let me stop sharing. So Jay, shall we share what we came up with?
Regarding the school committee
Elections.
elections?
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we go there?
Okay. So I'm sure Jay will explain this, but it turns out that we've gotten some more information from DESE. And so we have some new language that we would like to share with you and feel like it would be appropriate to include. Can you see that okay?
Nothing yet.
Oh, I don't know what happened here. Screen. No, that's not it. Here it is.
There we go.
Okay,
Okay, so we're, and Mac, please jump in. This is a little bit of a difficult thing to understand, but right now we're going back to the school committee elections in light of some things that we learned from the Department of Education. So in their initial review of our work, the way that our draft proposal stands right now is that you're going to continue, you would continue to have elections, school committee elections, the same way that you do now. There would be district-wide elections held in both towns on the same day. And as you can see on this screen, way back in the 70s, 1970s, when the district was formed, the district was able to get legislation allowing this to happen. And that's the chapter 484 that you see right there. Okay.
and that's a direct
So-
quote from the law.
Right. So the way it's, so again, you have the elections, they run the same as they always do. But if they don't happen on the same day, if there's a mix-up, okay, that's a problem for district-wide elections because you can't have one town that knows the results before the other town votes. So the way it's written right now is that the default election process, if I can call it that, okay, so if there's a problem, you go to the default process, and that sends you back to biennial state elections. And if that were to happen, it would be permanent. You go back to the biennial state elections and different lengths of terms for school committee members. As it turns out, after speaking with folks at the Department of Ed, there's, in our estimation anyway, a better way to do this. And that is to use the legislation that you already have, chapter 484. So the way, what we're proposing here and really recommending is the elections continue to happen the same way they are now, with district-wide on the same day with residency requirements. If there is a mix-up and they're not on the same day, instead of going to the biennial process, the district can hold its own election. And you have the language in 484 that authorizes you to do that. And you have all the language that relates to a district election in that we agreed to put in the appendices. So it's a tool that's already in your toolbox, so to speak. And if this is the way you recover from a mix-up, you don't lose the current structure that you have, okay? That's really one of the big advantages. So if there was a mix-up and the elections would not be held on the same day, you can say, wait a minute, hold the phone. We'll do our own election so that we can keep everything the way we have it now, okay?
Can I just add, Jay? I
Please
know
do,
you
please
used
do.
the term mix-up. It doesn't have to be a mix-up. It could be just one town deciding that they wanted to have their election on a different day.
Correct.
So, and if that happens, the school committee, as Jay said, could have its own election, but it could happen on one of those, on one of the days that one of the towns is already having their election. It doesn't have to be on a totally separate day, but isn't that right, Jay?
Yes, as long as it matches up. So it can match up with one of the town's days, or it can be on a completely separate day. And as I said, you've already got the authorization in state law to do it that way. We're presenting it to you tonight because we think it's a better and less cumbersome option than permanently going back to the biennial election. That's, in a nutshell, that's what's in front of you right here in terms of section B2. And I know I can see some hands are up there.
Yeah, Jay, we got a couple. So I'm gonna start with Tim because his hand was up first. Tim, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you for that, Jeff. Jay, you made a comment that the work has already been reviewed by DESI. I'm just curious why we're sending them incomplete and unfinished documents, and we'll talk about the semantics later. The election process you just described, the towns don't vote on the same day. So to put this language in here, we already know we're violating it. So is it DESI telling us what to put in there, or is this our agreement? That needs to
No.
be.
Yeah. Yeah, so during this process, Tim, I don't even know if we sent them the whole document or the draft of it, but we do stay in touch with them about questions that we have. And that's how this came up. I didn't know that they're not on the same day now. That's interesting. You also have a different, there is a third option actually, and that's to not have a default. So one of the other things we learned is that a default is not legally required. Can you say a little bit more about the fact that they're not on the same day? Are they close? Do they
Generally within a week or so, but I can't remember the last time both towns had their town election the same day. Tom or Christine, you want to chime in on that?
They've always been on the same day as long as I've been on the committee. I don't know when it changed.
I had thought so as well. I know like the ballot elections are the same day. The town meetings are never the same night, but the ballot elections I thought were always the same.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct.
I-
Town meetings are different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, town meeting's absolutely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
town meetings are different, but I think Tim Toth is correct in stating, like, we've had special elections in the past. Obviously, that's something a little different, but I don't know that I haven't researched it, and I don't know if our elections have always lined up, but I think Tim brings up a good point. We should probably make sure that they have. And I heard Christine and I heard Hank, but I'm not 100% sure,
Oh,
and go ahead.
I'm sure for the last 50 years they have been.
You're
Since I've been
absolutely
on-
sure, Hank? Hank,
Yeah,
you're absolutely
I've
sure?
been on that long, so yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So that's a little bit of a relief that they are on the same day. But you basically have three. I'll get to Carter in a second. I'm sorry if I put you off here, Carter. But you can have no default language. You can just stay with your district-wide elections. That's one option. You could go with the biennial option for a default method, or you can go with the district-held election as a default method. So that's I don't know if that clarifies it, but those are the three things.
Carter?
So given that you have the statute, I do believe that it should be included by reference. That said, this is not a general statute. So it would be a struggle for those folks in the future who may not have the institutional knowledge of tonight to look for Chapter 484. It's a special act. It's in the session laws. So I would respectfully suggest that you refer Chapter 484 of the Acts and Resolves of 1976. That makes anyone looking at this document very easily able to reach out, grab that special session, the special act, and reference it. And I would just think that that would clean the language up and make someone in the future's life much easier.
I absolutely agree with you, Carter. I think that's a good suggestion. And one of the things Mac and I talked about was when we were going to present this tonight, that we also want to clean up the language and make sure it works well for everybody. Because if it does fall, as you point out, to the district, they're going to have to kind of get there. They're kind of have to do some preparation and do some work. So the clearer it is for them, the better. Thank you.
I don't know if this is what you might think, Carter, but it's not very long, but it could be, the whole thing could be put in the appendix if you wanted it there. But maybe just putting the date in there, people can find it if they need to.
Again, I would say the acts and resolves only because 1976, again, somebody might go looking at the general laws, looking for an amendment to a that was created by Chapter 484.
Or maybe I could put it up here.
Yeah, Chapter 484 of the Acts and Resolves of 1976 would be the way we would normally write this.
Okay,
I say normally, I've only had to do this maybe half a dozen times, but that's the way we would write it.
I think I'm going to put brackets around it because otherwise it's a direct quote.
Sure.
So give me that language again, please, Carter.
Of the Acts and Resolves of 1976.
And I believe Tim has a question.
The acts and resolves of,
1976, I believe, is the year of
yes,
passage.
it is. Okay.
No, Jeff, I'm all set. I forgot to put the hand down. I apologize.
All right, no problem.
Okay. So again, the whole purpose of what we have here is just so they can continue doing what you're doing.
Right.
Is any other questions about that? And you think this is the right way to go? Jeff, could we get a vote on this, Jeff?
We certainly can. Yep, hang on, let me, so Matt, could you scroll up so I can see exactly what we are looking to, which section we're looking to vote on? I can't see it in there. I can see section B.
You want to see what section it is?
Just so somebody can make a motion, just so we can get a motion back on the exact section that we want to vote on.
Okay. I think
Just scroll up, Mac. Yeah.
I think it's section 3 or 2. Yeah, it's actually section 1. And section 1, and it'll be under section 1B.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mac. So can we get a motion to take a tentative vote on section 1B as written?
So moved.
That was Hank. Thank you, Hank. Second,
Second.
thank you. I believe it was Christine, if I'm not mistaken. So I will start. Sheila,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Kim,
And provided we can include the language on the chapter 84 and the acts of the acts and resolves of 86. Yes.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I think what he's saying, Mac, is to include the actual language in the appendix, the entire language of chapter 484. I think that's a good idea.
Is that what you're asking, Tim?
Yes, if that's at all possible, it
Yeah.
makes it clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I suggested that. Yeah, I think that's fine.
I agree with Tim to have that in the appendix.
Thank you, Tom. Let me see, Tim. Christine,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes,
Hank,
Aye.
and Mr. Mark says yes. And I believe that's everybody.
Okay, thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so I'm looking at the agenda. I'm not sure that there's anything else we can wrestle with, because all three of the sections that are unresolved are going to have additional information from Templeton and Phillipston, but not tonight. So what do you think, Jay? Do you think there's anything else that we can cover?
Well, the only thing that occurs to me, and we don't have to get into this tonight, is that I think we all understand that section 6, the language around the capital debt for the elementary school is a crucial issue for folks. And while we understand that to be the case, we haven't actually talked about it yet. So if we don't get into that tonight, I hope that we can next time. Or if people want to say something in a preliminary sense about it tonight, maybe that's of interest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see hands. Okay.
I think that might be a better discussion for the full group, because it's one of those things that everybody has opinions on. You know, I just think it'd be best to have the entire group here if possible. It's my
Well,
opinion.
looks like we need to come up with a new date, and then we need to really impress upon everybody that we need this information for the next meeting so that we can proceed.
So,
Otherwise,
what
we're
I,
not gonna get anywhere.
through the chair, Jeff, I absolutely agree. I think that whatever the date we land on here, I think that we explicitly, and I realize that it would be in the agenda, but we explicitly, spell out that this is the topic of discussion, because you're right, we've been dancing around this for a bit. And we need to, I think I definitely heard Carter say that there's a couple of amendments. We have some information. I think, Tom, I think you'd said something about maybe some information from your attorney or something to that effect. But either way, I think we dedicate the next meeting to this discussion. We have to at least rip the Band-Aid off. We haven't talked about it since almost the second meeting, which was almost a year and a half ago. We kind of tabled it, and we kind of moved on with other, low hanging fruit. So I think it's high time that we at least, get that on the table. My opinion.
Yep.
So I want to throw out a date, and we'll see if we can all be there.
There's a hand up, Mac.
Yeah.
Sheila.
Before you do that, Matt, can we just let Sheila, she has a question or comment? Sheila, go.
Sure.
The only thing that I was going to suggest is that in keeping with picking a new date, maybe we should schedule it so that we could potentially release the information from both sets of lawyers for everybody to review ahead of the meeting, so that we come into the meeting informed and actually can make progress in the next meeting.
Right. Yes. So we need some things, all 4 of these issues need to be addressed a week before the next meeting. All right. That's a good point, Sheila.
Carter, do you think that's going to be possible? Are you going to be able to get something so that we can distribute it ahead of time?
Yes.
Great.
I am interested, however, in we have said that we have interest in formalizing the admission fee, the new membership fee. We've identified that we have some concerns over the RAAC, it being more clearly defined and not able to be changed mid-process in the review. And we've clearly identified that we have some concerns over the language that has been inserted into section 6. I am wondering if we can get a sense of what is on Phillipston's tick list as to amendments they might be considering to offer.
Tom can
You have
answer.
Sort of a
only thing-
preview of coming attractions, if you might.
In my recollection, the only thing that Gerhard mentioned last time was the inclusion of some language about being able to pull out pre-K to 6. That was the only issue that I heard.
There might be some other things to answer Carter's question. The other issue that we have going on here is we have 2 representatives from Phillipston that are not here tonight. There's some other things going on in town, this is something that may affect the future meetings. But I am going to try and get that information to you. Remember, we have a number of people. Christine Bennett is here. Christine, you have my information. I would love to talk to you about this stuff. I would love to be able to also say to you that we have to have our lawyers go through this information. They have not gotten back to us. I've been in correspondence with them. This was a difficult time period for a lot of people. You got the holidays that everybody had to go through. You got COVID. I don't know. I overheard people talking about family members with COVID. It's just been like one issue after another. And then we've had some issues here in our town that we've had to take care of. I'm not trying to make excuses, but it just did not seem like we had the time to fit this all in. But what I'm saying to you now is I want to make sure that we get that, like Sheila had said, we got to get that a week in advance. And then anything that you guys have, also a week in advance. Like today, and I understand everybody's busy. We got that document at 10:30 in the morning. I had other plans. I had to reshift my whole day so I could spend at least 45 minutes, an hour on those documents to make sure that I was up to date. How we can actually kind of like negotiate and go over this information. You got a lot of people here. I understand that, but I agree with Sheila where we got to get that information out earlier, and I will address that stuff. I will also try to make sure that if I can get those other members back here. And that's all I really have to say as a preview, Carter.
Just can I ask a question?
You sure can.
Yeah, I don't know what I heard, but I just want to ask. I think I understood that when you say get them back here, are they not part of the committee? I'm just asking. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. You're here. Everybody's here. There were a couple people late. We got started at 17 hours on the 17th. I know for a fact, I see Tim picking up on that. I can't tell you right now, Dr. Castan, but the one thing I do know is that they're not happy. They've made that clear. We're going to have an Education Opportunity Committee meeting coming up. We might be able to have a chance to discuss this stuff. That's where we discuss different things of education issues outside of the school committee. So what I'm saying to you is I want to make sure that everybody's informed on what's going on. I don't know why those folks aren't here tonight, but they should have been.
So how about the last week of February? That would be a little over a month, and it should give people a month to work on the things and a week ahead of time to give us the information. So how about in that, you said no, but that's during your vacation though, is that right, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not going anywhere. So I mean, in terms of the school, I will certainly be available. I don't want to speak for Susan. I don't want to speak. Anne Marie might be. I'm not sure, but I don't know. But I would definitely be here. We're non-voting members anyway.
Yeah, it depends on the date that you're talking about.
Yeah, obviously it's the date, but I wouldn't throw it out. I would not throw February vacation out just because of February that week because of school vacation.
It's a little unusual that it's the last week of February. Usually the vacation is the third
Yeah,
week.
it's usually the week before, right? That's why I always have to look, but you're right. It's the last week of February this year.
So Mac, if we stay with Mondays, it would be either the 14th, the 21st, or the 28th. So how do people feel about those options?
Not the 14th.
Okay,
I
That
can't
makes
do the
sense.
21st.
I can't do the 28th, but I'm not a voting member, but someone else would have to take minutes is all.
Wait, you can't do the 21st?
I'm sorry, the 21st, yeah.
Yeah, that's also President's Day. It would be like today would run into a holiday.
So is Monday
28th it is.
still the best day?
Yes. Otherwise, I have meetings every day of the week, you know?
Well, if we can't do even the 14th, the 7th is not too far away, and it won't give people time to get things organized and get it to us a week ahead of time. So I don't think the 7th would work, would it?
No.
That mean we're going to the 28th of February?
Yeah,
How about
That
that?
sounds good.
That's the date I would think would work.
okay.
Everybody okay with that, the 28th?
Connor, I see you got your hand up, Connor. Do you have something to,
No, I'll, I guess, I'll make myself available whatever day. I just want to say something, and I'm trying to sort out, Jeff, how to say it as politely and politically correct as I can. I was the town administrator several years ago when the override was first proposed, which would have provided enough monies to keep all of the buildings open, and had conversations with several Phillipston folks that said, in a sense, this: I understand that how much this school means to you, and I understand what the prospects of losing it would mean to you. And we're more than happy to talk about a wide variety of means by which that school could be retained in its configuration, and would be happy to sit down and have conversations to assist in any way we could, whether that was assisting you in finding a supervisory union for K-6. Actually, you don't even need to leave the district. Just buy the services for that. Find an alternative assessment. And we've never heard from Phillipston concrete, specific discussions about how to move forward. We've heard we're not happy. We've heard we don't want to lose our school. We get all that. I am simply from a representative for Templeton saying that community remains ready, willing, and able to discuss alternative assessments and any other means that make financial sense to the district writ large to achieve what Phillipston wants to try to achieve. And I'm hopeful that the amendments that come forth are put forth in that positive manner with specifics. Thank you.
Christine, do you have a follow-up to that?
I do. Thank you, Carter. I've been going to all these meetings since we started, wondering how and when and whether to bring that issue up. I did ask at the school committee meetings late, and I believe it must have been the spring of 18 at this time, if that were possible, if we could split the budget differently. And I was told it would have to be through negotiating the whole regional agreement again. So here we are, and maybe I should have said something sooner, but I would be very interested in anything that Jay or Mac could provide as language for that. I don't have any, but I was told there is a way to do an alternate assessment, but it would have to be done here. So if there's any research you could do on that to show us, I know I, as a taxpayer and voter in Phillipston, definitely would love to see my school come back. All 5 of my children went through there. It was a very special place. It wouldn't be the same again, obviously, because some of the teachers have gone, things have happened, but we just want our youngest kids local as much as possible. We've got the buses going through town, everything's still the same, except they just don't stop there anymore. So thank you, Carter, for bringing that up. If you have any experience from your other towns of how that may have been done, or again, Jay and Mac, please do let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Can do that.
Well,
And we are aware of some similar situations.
I think Tom's got his hand up here.
Tom
Yep.
does, yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Carter, I really appreciate you saying that. I think that that's very helpful. As Christine said, that it is a very, very big issue in our town. There are a lot of things that we've been trying to take a look at. I've spoken to Dr. Cassavant on one occasion that I can remember, and brought up some different issues. We have an opportunity, after what you said, to actually kind of like get together and work on that. And I would like to see that. I do think the reason why this stuff was not done is because when these types of things happen, it becomes so emotional that people aren't able to kind of get together sometimes, or get their act together and try to figure it all out. And then we're in a kind of a crazy time where I think there's a lot of trust issues that go on. When I first started meeting with you folks, I could see the friction. There's still friction in my town. I'm trying to keep a very open mind about this. And I love the fact that you said that. I would love to find some way to sit down with folks and come up with a way to work that out. And Phillipson has always been willing to pay more than their fair share to educate their kids and take care of their kids. So maybe that's something that we can do in the future, find a way to kind of get together and talk about that stuff. Thank you.
So I don't know, Chris, maybe you can help with this, or Jay. This raises to me a question: is this is the group that eventually has to put something in writing in the regional agreement. Would it be helpful, though, to have a subgroup of you all, some of you in a smaller group, to sit in the same room or even virtually and look at that issue? I don't know what's the best way of attacking.
I thank you. One of the mechanisms available to us, and it's met some resistance, quite frankly, is that we would have kind of we call it a chairs meeting. And what that over the time when things weren't going so hot, so to speak, Carter, when he was in his role as a TA, Chair Mike, and someone from, usually the chair, but someone from the finance committee from Templeton, right, would meet with myself. It would be Margaret, and at times Anne Marie if there was some financial questions, and then Phillipson, again, pardon me, the town administrator role, and who was usually a member from the select board, and a couple times we actually had a finance person there as well. And I think that in some of the darkest times, quite frankly, it was a great way to have some conversation about whatever. And because we generally were always fighting the same dragon, and it was nice to know that that was actually true. I think that is one. I think that option is still available, and would love to restart that as soon as possible. And I have tried at the very beginning of the school year to try to get that back into motion. Short of that, I mean, we could just, a group of us, just sit down and just talk about it. I don't want it to be confrontational. It certainly doesn't have to be an easy conversation. I really do believe that there has to be just a brief, I think, for those involved to kind of go as a recounting of history of what exactly happened. I think that's paramount. And I think with everybody I can tell you right now in all these little squares, many of us, right, were there in one capacity or not, right? And so we can talk about that. And I would like that very much. I think that's what we were trying to do in the early September, October timeframe. I think it's crucial that we do it now. And Tom, look, the minutes are generally public, and communities are sieves, and we know that people have said, look, they want to try to open a early childhood. You guys have talked about that very openly. What frustrates me, Tom, and I will say this out loud, is that very topic, that very thing was on the table, and way back when things, when we were trying to figure that infamous year of 18 or 19, and it got thwarted. A lot of bad press went out about it. It was, called a glorified daycare. Why would we want this? But it was a way to keep the building open. And again, so it frustrates me to hear that you guys are trying to do the same thing, because we were there. We have all the people. We want to keep, of course, a foothold in both of our towns. We want schools. We want all these things. So I don't think we're that far apart, Tom. I think that I'll say it to anyone. I think that there are those among us who are looking to divide, period. For I don't know why, but I think they're looking to divide. And I think that once we all sat in one room and we talked about, again, the history of things, but then very quickly moved to what can we possibly do to benefit literally the kids of our district and, of course, both communities. I think that is the most important thing. And I think we can get there. We just need to have people who are willing to have that conversation and to be open-minded. I will say to you right from the back, I'm whenever, wherever, I don't care. We could do it any place. And I'd love to have that.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I know Kata wants to talk. If I can just respond to that real quick. I think we should get into it. I think we should have that group that you were talking about, and I responded to Susan Varney about being at the all chairs meeting. I've been trying to get my fellow folks in Phillips in there. I think they were concerned about meeting in person, but yeah, there's going to be people that divide, but sometimes you got to work with these folks because they're in positions where, for whatever reason, they have different ideologies, different messages, different thoughts. And I think it, like I've said to you and other people, I think it all comes down to trust, maybe getting into the room. And then, like you said, I'd like, because of my former profession, I'd like it to be professional, but then, it's okay too. And I think you're in agreement with this, Dr. Casavan, and most people, yeah. Sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations to move on to that next step. And then, I would like to see us have that conversation. So, but I cannot promise you or tell you that those people that are on that divide are not going to kind of continue down that avenue.
Tom, but you're willing to go, right?
Yes.
I'm going to throw some names out. I know that Tom Speck, just because of my workings with Tom Speck, I have not had a conversation with him. I know that he would sit down. I know he would, and he'd have a conversation, and he'd have a tough conversation. Like we've had 100 of them before. I know you would. I know that Carter would. I mean, Tim Toth, I'm looking right at him. Yes. I mean, we've done this before. Yep. And look, there's nothing personal about it. Let's have these conversations. And I don't want to leave Adam out by any stretch. And I certainly don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to get anyone upset at all, but we literally, I think, have the people right here that would really just sit down and look, if we still disagree, we can do so politely and,
Right.
professionally, and then we'll move on. I don't think it's personal. From my end, it is not. It
What's
is
the
not.
best way of making that happen, Chris?
I am literally an open bell. I'll do it whenever. Short of my anniversary, I will make any date happen. And quite frankly, it's that important to us, and it has been for quite some time.
But somebody needs to grab hold of it and initiate it.
I will send out through either myself or Susan and Tom, what I'll do, just because I'm speaking to you here tonight, I will
Yeah.
send it to you. I will send it to Tim because obviously he's in front of me. I will send it to Carter / of course, Adam, Sheila, clearly, I will send it out and say, look, if nobody else, let's us talk. Let's us have a conversation, and then let's move forward. Or I don't want to leave anybody out, folks, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure. No, I understand what you're saying. And obviously I can forward that information. I'm very transparent. Anything that I get, or you send me, folks, you should know that it's going to go directly to board. Please do not respond to this, and to FinCom or any other committees that may be involved in that. But yeah, that's great. Let's get the ball rolling. And I think you're right. It's about time. On my part, those people that we talked about, that's really on me to get those people there. And we got to be able to agree to disagree.
Can we
Yeah,
ask the people at this meeting to send any names to Chris that you think would be helpful in this conversation? And so when Chris can help pull it together?
Can I just ask also that you open it up to the entire committees? Because I don't even know who else is on the finance committee, honestly, in Phillipston. There's several members that we've never heard from. And, Linda volunteered first to join this committee, but maybe there's someone else who would want to get involved or at least be informed.
Sure.
So-
Again, I'm using names just as a point of reference, not as a de facto, but I think it might be a smaller group might benefit in the very beginning.
Right.
And certainly, and because I didn't even mention, I work for, 8 school committee members. I didn't even mention any of them. But my point is that I would go back, just like every one of us would go back to our respective boards. I think that we just need to have, just the group that's looking to have a conversation, not to argue, not to argue for argue's sake. Let's just get some information out there. Let's talk. Let's just do it that way. And I think who's ever able to do that, let's do it. It doesn't matter to me.
I think you're right, Chris, that not a huge group, if 10.
No, I don't think 12 or 15 people met.
Yeah.
I think you have just a selected group. Nothing's going to be decided. We're just having a conversation, I think. And
Right,
I
a
think
group
that
of
would,
10 or so could
Yeah.
probably accomplish something, and you can always make it bigger at some point.
sure.
Carter, did you have something?
We
Yeah,
got
we-
hands up here. They've been up for a while.
Yeah, we do. And Carter, I know you had your hand up first. I'm not sure if it was related to this topic. I think Tim and Sheila might be related to this topic.
Yeah, it is. It is. The idea of even trying to put 10 people in a room to have this kind of initial conversation, frankly, scares the hell out of me. I would respectfully suggest a relatively small group, perhaps 2 from Templeton, 2 from Phillipston, or 3 and 3, aided with the superintendent being present, and Mac or Jay, because it's a general conversation about, we in Templeton understand your disappointment and your desire to keep your school open and want to work with you to do that. And here's a couple of rough general outlines. The most important people from Phillipston to be in the room, quite frankly, are the folks that are the line of thinking that have not been able to join us tonight, because good people committed to an end result generally can find their way there. They may not all agree on exactly how they got there. They may make some compromises along the way. But if it is agreed ahead of time that we understand how important your school is to you and want to try to help you do that, and here's our concerns, and they recognize that we do have some concerns that need to be addressed and that we're going to work to get this done, it's achievable. If they're unwilling to have that conversation, frankly,
Yeah.
says something different.
Yeah.
And so I would respectfully suggest that a small, tight group, a number to be created by Mr. Marks, could meet within 2 or 3 weeks, because this doesn't take lots of presentations and number crunching. It really is very broad strokes of, here's some ways to get this done. Can we come together on any one of these ways? My suspicion is that good people can find a way to get through this. And we can continue to be good partners, meeting each other's needs in a sound financial manner that recognizes the constraints on the district's finances. Thank you, Jeff, for letting me chime in here.
Oh, thank you, Carter. And I agree. I think we should. I think we should be looking at about 3 from each side. But we'll have that discussion, and we'll reach out to the different groups. Okay. Thank you, Carter. I appreciate that. Tim, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I just had a quick comment. We've, in light of everything COVID related and whatnot, the town has opted to go back to the Zoom format meetings, as much as we all dislike them, but there's a rationale behind it.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to the MMA conference this coming weekend, and even that got canceled and pushed back. So as much as I hate to say it, I'm all for getting a small group, but I think this is the media to get it done. I really do.
I agree.
Thank you. Sheila?
I just wanted to say, I love the idea of this meeting, and I definitely acknowledge and respect everything Phillipston Elementary means to Phillipston. It's something, I've gone to many events there over the years that I've loved, and I love what they've accomplished there. But going into the meeting, I also think this may exist already, and if it does, if I could see it, I know that there are repairs that have to be made to that school in order to be able to open it up again. And I would be very interested in what that total cost would be, because I think that has to be part of the conversation.
Can I answer that just real quick if I could? Sheila, what I'll be able, and I say probably mostly through, it'll be a collection between Anne Marie, myself, and Rick Moulton, who was our former facilities director. We have quotes, but what I'm saying that, there were certain things that we found, we've got some quotes. We ran them by at that time, I think it was called the Phillipston Building Committee. And so I'll be able to provide, they'll be older quotes, but it'll give you a ballpark. And quite frankly, one of them was just and I don't know if the roof quote was ever written down, or if it was just when they did the inspection, they came back and said, look, it's going to be this, or, or you'll be looking at this in X amount of years. So I will give you everything that we have. Some of it will not be, let me just say, formal, and certainly will be older. But we'll certainly give you everything that we have.
And Chris, on that subject, I know that Tom, I was in a meeting with Tom, and they have a lot of that information. They're
Okay.
aware of a lot of that stuff. So
Okay.
I'm sure he'd be, he'll reach out if he needs any of the updated ones, but I know that they're aware of a lot of that information from the building committee. And we had discussions at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings. Tom,
I'll send you whatever I have, and then you can throw out what's already duplicated. So just to make sure that we're covering, all our bases.
Yeah. And we spent some money on that building. We've actually repaired the roof, and we put some money into the building, but that's something for another time.
Thank you.
Yeah, good conversation.
Okay. So I believe there's nothing else. We're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Just one quick comment, Chris, or anything we can do to help make that happen. I think this has been a good conversation. Mac, keep Mac and I in touch if there's something we can do to help. That's all.
Well, I think you'll be part of the conversation, from what I understand.
Okay.
So we'll immediately message out to Tom, let me ask you, I know who,
Yeah.
I know whom to message out to in Templeton, right? And
Yeah.
who to CC. Whom would you like me to send, basically, like, you know, if it's 3 people, like, let's get 3 people together to talk about the bill. Who am I sending that to, just so I'm sending it to the right people?
Yeah, myself, Tom Specht, Bernie, and then Gearhart, because he has to be included in all that stuff because
Okay. All right.
so it's
Okay.
technically 4, including
Sure,
myself,
Sure.
you know.
Just want to
And,
make sure I'm giving it to the right people. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think we can go from there, because I think that with those 4 people, we can convince that other party to kind of like, hey, this is a time to sit down and really start having a conversation. And it doesn't work any other way, right? So we got a lot of people here tonight. Everybody's saying, hey, let's talk. Let's get together. Let's get this solved. And I have to bring that message back to folks in my town. And hopefully those folks that aren't hearing that message now can hear it. So I've got some work ahead of me.
Tell
Can
them
I
to
ask a
watch
quick
this meeting
question?
when it's posted.
Right. Are we still
Uh,
looking
I'm
at the
s-
28th for our next meeting? Is that something you still want me to move forward with?
Yes, I'm not sure. Would that meeting have to be posted as long as there are not a majority of people from any committee?
Right.
You can just
I'm
be
sorry. I just meant
superintendent's
have them watch the
committee,
video of this meeting for the discussion.
right? But just superintendent can call a group of people together to talk about anything.
That's why the chairs format kind of worked before, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's but as long as we keep yeah, right. We'll keep an eye out for the, you know, open meeting law violations, of course, et cetera, but.
I was just talking about the next RAAC meeting. Is
Yeah,
it-
Susan, I think
Oh,
you
I'm
should,
sorry.
I think you should leave that date as being something we need to work with. Yeah.
All right, good. Well, thank you, Carter, for raising the issue, and hopefully something can happen here.
Is there any other questions or comments before we adjourn? No? Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second,
Thank you. Sheila,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
Hank,
Aye.
and Mr. Mark says aye. So, and again, I just want to apologize for my delay this afternoon. I just got a bit going on, so I apologize. I know everybody's time is important, and
No
I
worries.
apologize for that. So
Thanks,
have a good
Jeff.
night, everybody.
Okay.
Yes.
Good night.
Good conversation. Thank you.
Good night.
Good conversation.